Hello, and welcome to Socially Holistic Podcast. Socially Holistic helps coaches and holistic entrepreneurs and women in heart-centered businesses make sense of social media so they can build their own online network and get more clients. As a heart-centered business owner, you do amazing work. Holly's mission in life is to help you help more people. Help us help more women in business with a 5-star review of this podcast. Please leave one today over at iTunes. The more women who find out about this podcast, the more heart-centered businesses will be successful. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Socially Holistic Podcast, episode 66. This is your host, Holly Wharton, and I'm here with today's special guest, Yiye Zhang. From Your Life Expression, Yiye is a financial intuitive and guide. Welcome, Yiye.
Thank you, Holly. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to talk with you about your business and how you help people, because financial healing and just getting rid of those blocks that all, come up when we're in business is such a huge topic that comes up with so many of the women that I meet. So this is a fantastic topic to be discussing.
Oh, I'm glad.
So tell us a little bit about your background and your business journey. How did you get to where you are today? You've got a really fascinating story.
Sure. I was made in China and I got sent to the UK when I was 17 to study maths and physics in the uni. And after graduation, I took a training contract with Pricewaterhouse Coopers. Then I became a chartered accountant. And I stayed in that industry for about 8 years. I was learning a lot and enjoyed the job. I felt just part of me deep inside felt so suppressed, and that was my intuitive and psychic side. I felt I wasn't able to unleash or express my creative self and really share my real gifts to the people I really love and care. Mm-hmm. So it just up to a point, I think it was around 2011 and 2012, I just constantly felt so depressed to a point that I had to really reflect my life and see who I actually am and what do I really want to do in this world. And that's what inspired me to start blogging and finally made it as a business. Mm. And when I was starting this business, actually, I was a little bit arrogant. I thought I didn't have the money block because of my numbers background and finance background. Until I started coaching clients, I just couldn't bring myself to talk about my fee and really set a clear boundary to explain to people what I expect from them and etc. If things went so bad, I had to really sit down and look inward, see where exactly was blocking myself. But the good news is once you start looking at your money stories and really dive into your self-worth issue, this kind of thing, the money struggle can get quickly resolved because you really make a commitment to look at how you do money, because how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Mm-hmm. I hear so many people saying that, and that is so true. So how did you get past those fears and those money blocks and the self-worth issue that you just mentioned? What technique did you use to get past those, or how did you do it?
Yeah, well, to be honest, just to open up, initially it felt like I had to go to the hell and come back, because every time I had worked through that, I was just wanting to throw up, the sickness in the stomach. But the first tip, the one of the best tip I want to share with your audience is to treat money as a lover. It's actually a relationship. Whether you recognize it now or not, it is a relationship. And the sooner you make a commitment to work on it and get to know money, the better. Just take an example. Say if you want to have a great relationship with a guy, and if you don't actually know about this guy, don't really know what he looks like, and you don't know what he enjoys or he loves, it's really difficult to claim that relationship. And that's the same with money. And so many people don't even know what a 10-pound or 20-pound notes look like. Mm-hmm. And that's really difficult to make this positive emotional connection with money.
Mm. Yeah, and I think as you say, also, it's interesting what you say about people not, knowing what the notes look like, because it's like so many of us, make our money online, or the income comes in through PayPal, and it's so abstract. And the other day I was working one-to-one in person with someone, which is something I don't often do. I usually work via Skype, and she paid me in 20-pound notes, and she counted them out for me, and I just thought, wow, that's such a big chunk of money. But it was like the first time in a long time, a really long time, that someone actually paid me in cash, and I could actually see and feel the money, and it was just very concrete rather than that kind of abstract thing of it popping into my PayPal account, which is also nice, but very, very different experience.
Yeah, exactly. Once you really invite money to come to your physical world, like you said, everything will become so differently. For example, I always recommend my clients to actually draw money as a fun exercise every day, or even sleep with money. Right.
That's actually a very interesting
Commitment
and exercise, because that's really kind of inviting money into your very personal life.
Yeah, exactly. I believe what you said earlier, that example, thanks for sharing. So many people can relate to that. You just assume that money is not really there for you, and money somehow is evil and is here to against you, rather than money is actually so eager to help you to fulfill your purpose, just to support you in a really concrete and physical ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So was there a tipping point in your business when you broke through all of this money stuff and things just kind of went from struggle to flow?
Yeah, because initially when I was doing, experience all the struggle with money, I was giving away things for free for about 2K, 2 or 3K every month. And of course, I ended up being exhausted. I think it just felt so bad. You start questioning everything. You bring more and more self-doubt. It was like downward spiral.
Yeah.
And it just to a point you realize, you know what? I have to make a decision to change. I don't want to be living like this anymore. And is really make that commitment and decision to start doing the little things every day, to really learn how to form a clear boundary, learn how to communicate your value and you charge your worth, and gradually things start to transform. It wasn't like a overnight thing, but my tipping point was my first 5-figure months when I really decided to own my value, and just to it's be like a diving into the unknown, really trust your own higher self, and trust that money is there for you, and also trust so many people need to hear this message. So just really own your message and own your gift. That's how everything started to shift.
Yeah, and I think that's really important that you mentioned that, because on your website you talk a lot about the huge kind of coming out of the closet you experience when you start expressing to people on your mailing list and the people in your life that you were psychic.
Yeah.
And so that sounds like that was a really, really huge shift in your life and your business as well.
Yeah, you are so right. Yeah, it was difficult, but there's one tip I want to share with people who also struggle, whatever the closet is, like whether it's artist or writer or psychic or whatever, is just ask the universe to support you. For example, when I was really struggling, I was crying in the toilet when I was about to send a newsletter to my audience. I was worried about how people was gonna see me or judge me, but then I also asked the universe to give me a good surprise, to let me know I'm safe and I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to do. So what happened was, back I was doing a free mini reading for a client. Then what happened is she actually enjoyed that so much, she sent me a $30 donation. And that was my first $30 in my new online business. And to me, I took the sign as I was doing the right thing and I will be safe. And it has been confirmed to be so. So if you are scared or worried, just ask the universe to support you. You'll be surprised.
Excellent. And for people who aren't, really familiar with the concept of speaking with the universe or, asking for things, how would you recommend that they get started in doing that?
You can start with a prayer. If people normally are quite comfortable with prayer, just however you normally pray, just write down what you want in life. Say, for example, do you have any wish next week, something like that?
Okay, so something that you want to happen maybe in the upcoming days or weeks.
Yeah, then just start writing them down in your journal.
Okay.
And every time you make a little progress, you record your progress because that becomes a hardcore evidence, so difficult to ignore. And you will gradually practice this muscle to get the unseen world to be on board for your development.
Okay, that is excellent advice because I know so many times it's so difficult if we're not making, recording our progress and making note of the good things that are happening to us and in business and in life. It can be so easy for it to just slip by and kind of not take notice of it. But when you're writing it down, it's really concrete. You're truly acknowledging it in a very concrete way because you're writing it down.
Yeah, exactly. And also, the more you write it down, the more good news can come to you to reflect your own journey as well.
Excellent. So what would you say are your top tips? Now, you've shared a lot of things with us already, but what would you say are your top tips for how to heal your money blocks?
Yeah, I will. Whether it's healing your money block or healing your childhood trauma or anything else, I found the best way to start with is self-compassion. It's anything you can do to invite more love from you towards you. That can be really significant for you for this shift. And for example, when I was struggling to heal a really important piece of the self-worth problem, again I was asking universe to help me. T-shirt in the shop, it says "Love me now, love me forever." Then of course I bought that, and I was wearing them as often as possible. And that actually it gave me, again, it's like a physical reminder to remind myself my body is sacred. As a woman, I don't have to be compare myself in the magazine to that kind of standard. And also remind myself I don't have to treat vulnerability as a bad thing. I'm learning boxing and martial arts at the moment to heal my childhood trauma, just to remind me that I'm a different person compared to 20 or 10 years ago. And now I can stand up for myself, and now I do recognize my worth.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think that's really, really important. And do you feel like, now that you've stepped out of the psychic closet and you're sharing really deep stuff about yourself online and you're opening up and you're being more vulnerable, do you feel like that has really helped your business?
It has. Just every time I decide to open up, firstly it was the psychic closet, then it was the money closet. Every time, although I do get some kind of criticism every time I share more about myself, but immediately it helped me connect so much more with my audience. Because my pain, although the pain I went through is unique, but the underlying reason and the cause is universal. It's so important to just be truthful. When you are truthful to yourself, just miraculously you will draw so much support from your audience, and people become so curious. They want to ask more questions. How did you manage to go from A to point B?
Yeah, and I think that's also really useful to share, the kind of dark side of you and your business, because it makes you so much more human. It's like it adds, more layers to your online persona and to your experience and to the way that you engage with people. Because if, you just present yourself as being perfect all the time, it's like, okay, that a lot of people can't really relate to that because they need help, but then it seems like, someone who's perfect is so far away from their reality.
Exactly. And also you're trying to be perfect is a huge pressure as well. I grew up in China. That was kind of culture I grew up with, and I lived like that for 15 years and decided, that's definitely not for me.
And do you visit China regularly?
Yeah, I go back once a year, and things has changed so much.
So how do you feel when you go back to your, kind of home culture, original culture? How do you feel when you experience that kind of perfectionism and things that you grew up with?
Every time I go back now, actually I manage to heal myself more. I think that's just because you put that kind of awareness in your head. You just commit to healing. So everything experience in life really help you to heal yourself more. And in the meantime, China has changed so much. It feels people are more and more into personal development and also not to pretend to be who you are. So I found it's really fascinating to see how my culture is interpreting everything.
Yeah, and I think that's very interesting what you said also about healing your past a little bit every time you go. And of course, if you travel with that intention, amazing things can happen, can't they?
Yeah.
So what other types of entrepreneurial blocks do you help people with?
It's visibility. Actually, I think visibility and a money block goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
When you're afraid to be available to help people, of course, you're going to stop yourself receiving more money as well. And the visibility block was a huge one for me, because of my childhood trauma. Just every time I start to own my worth and value, and just subconsciously I feel like someone is out there trying to get me. So I had to really go deep and go to the dark side, like you said earlier, to understand where everything's coming from, and even to distinguish what was actually mine, what wasn't. As intuitive, I absorb a lot of crap from my surrounding, and quite often the stuff is not really mine, and you can't really do anything about it other than graciously releasing them. And that discernment was a big learning curve for me.
That's really, really interesting, because I think a lot of times we do pick up stuff from other people and we're just not quite sure whether it's ours, whether it's someone else's, or where the heck this came from.
Exactly. And you sometimes you're just trying so hard to, work around those fears, and oops, it's not really yours, so you can't really do much about it.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about how you work with people. You've got a number of different options out there.
Yeah, I have a product called Money First Aid Kit. Is to introduce my methodology, the both intuitive and energetic releasing, as well as the practical side. And it's a self-study, home study course for people. And for those who need more one-on-one help, I work more intimately with people in a VIP day to really go deep and to release your emotional blockage around money, as well as looking at the practical nitty-gritty on how to craft your offer and market.
Excellent. And of course, you're working with them not only in the practical side of things, but also the inner side of things.
Yeah. Okay. And to me, if my experience as well as my client experience suggests that if you want the fast results, I don't mean you try to bypass your lesson, but if you truly want to get where you want to be very quickly, the inner side and the practical side both are so essential. You can't really sit in your room just think about money is going to come to your way, but you can't just keep doing the same practical thing which hasn't worked without changing your inner ecology either.
Yeah, I think that's a very important thing to point out, because oftentimes it's like we get so stuck and, we're frustrated with our business, things aren't changing, the money isn't coming in the way we want it to, but we keep doing the same thing, and oftentimes that same thing is a very kind of practical, money thing. Maybe we're just marketing our business and we just kind of keep on doing that, but we don't look to the inner stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And whatever happened in the multidimensional, in the unseen world, like when you release your fear, actually it impacts in the physical world as well. It's so many times people come to me and say, I've done everything the gurus tell me to do. I've done X, Y, Z, but why they don't buy? Well, that's the point. You have to really be honest with yourself, to understand what is actually holding you back subconsciously. Because subconsciously, you can send a really strong signal to your audience, to the prospects. And sometimes people just don't know why. They just don't want to click that buy button if you don't really work around the fears.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, we've got a lot of fear around digging into our money stuff because it's like we don't know what's there. We're afraid of what might come up. We're afraid it's going to be really deep, dark, and scary. So how do you help encourage people to dig deep into the money stuff?
Yeah, I recommend a really radical change. Going back to the earlier point, treat your money as your lover.
Mm-hmm.
As me, I treat my money as a lover and a healer. And with the blessing from my husband, I actually form a relationship officially with money.
Mm. And how did you
So
go about doing that?
yeah, so every day when I get up, the first thing I do is to write a prayer about how I want my new boyfriend money to support me in my life, to support me to fulfill my purpose. It doesn't have to be something big, but for example, it can be both personal and business wise. For example, if you want to invest in something like software, then you just write a prayer for money. I believe this is so good for my business, and therefore it's great for my community. I love for you to step up and to support me.
Mm. And you do that every day?
I do that every day.
Excellent. Okay. That's great. That's really great because it's, I mean,
But not always business wise. Sometimes it's a new dress. I want money to manifest itself either as a way as a gift or in some other way. I just want to be creative and adventurous, see how I can play with money. Money doesn't really have to be hard or cold or abusive. It can be extremely playful if you allow it to be.
and I think I really would like to dig into that a little bit more because I think a lot of us, as I said before, are really scared of digging into our money stuff. So how would you recommend that people play with money?
Firstly, you start with drawing a picture of yourself. Forget about the pressure of money. Forget about that for a second. Just draw a picture of yourself with your deepest desire. For example, you might want to go to a vacation. You might want to buy something for your house. Could be, I recommend something really small to start with. So, you put aside those kind of pressure and fear of meeting expectation and trigger something really deep inside. Just something really small. For example, if you want a flower, something, just draw that flower on a piece of paper and really tap into your desire and express your feeling. Imagine once you have the flower, how does that make you feel? How does that make your loved one feel? Then just let go of the expectation and see what happens. Stay curious is really crucial. Because even to this day, I've been working on money blog for so long, but sometimes as soon as I put pressure on myself, I start to become wobbly as well. So I have to really train myself to snap back to the playfulness.
Well, that's a really good point as well, because I think we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves, both with money stuff and business stuff. And I mean, I know I personally can. So I think that's really, really important, as you said, to kind of step back from the pressure and go back to play.
Yeah.
So you also have a free gift on your website, don't you, called Heal Your Money Stories?
Yeah, it's a mini 7-day journey, a sacred journey to help you transform your money story, dissolve your income ceiling, and really learn how to manifest money with joy and love.
Excellent.
Like you said, putting aside the fear, just pause that for a second and allow yourself have a different type of reality. Just see how it feels for you.
Excellent. And I see that on your website that you've also written a book called Express the Master Within.
Yeah, that was my first ever ebook when I launched this website. And I've now turned it into a mini home study course. That just mirrored my journey earlier especially in 2011 when I was really depressed. I don't know who I was. I didn't know how I can share my gifts as well as making it financially sustainable to support myself, and had to go through lots of dark moments and had to really work through the self-doubt. And I just share tips systematically as well as my personal story to help people who feel really stuck at the moment.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Do you have any other tips or suggestions or anything that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, right now I want to share that your money story is not a one-night stand thing. So it's not like one-time blast. You you enjoy money, then you have a great results, then you forget about it. It's actually a muscle. It's a long-term thing. For example, I work on my money story every day. So the more patient you are, the more playful you are, the more results you and reward you can receive in the long run. So I just really want to encourage people. Actually, your money skill is just the same as any other skill. If anyone can learn how to wash a dish, you can also learn how to make money to be on your side as well. So just really trust yourself.
Ooh, that's excellent, because I don't think I've ever thought of money as being a skill. Thank you. Now, do you have any women business mentors, or are there any women in business who inspire you?
Yeah, I do. One of them is my spiritual teacher, Sonia Choquette.
Mm-hmm.
I read all her books, all her training programs when I was about to come out of my psychic closet. And she was a woman really encouraged me to own my gift as a communicator as well as a natural psychic. And since then, she has been a great inspiration. I love the way how she touched my life. For example, in 2012, when I was so scared to become a spirit guide and teacher, I went to her workshop when she traveled to London. And I still remember, even to this day, she was teaching us some tools to help us reprogram our subconscious self.
Mm-hmm.
Then at just one point, she was looking at me, or at least my direction, but I interpreted it as she was looking at me. And she said this sentence really clearly: "You are the teacher now. I've given you the tool. Own it." And I just then, every single cell in my body was responding. And really, since that day, I become just step by step, I start to owning my truth. And she has been a huge influence for me. And I definitely recommend people to check out her books. It's very, very inspiring and practical. And another mentor is Hiro Boga.
Mm-hmm.
She's an intuitive business strategist as well as energy alchemy. She's a teacher for transformation. And she really helped me to look at my business from such a practical as well as, how do I put it? It's so inspiring and helpful that I even this day I struggle to put this in words. Sorry about that. She helped me to practice your sovereignty and discernment, and she really lead by example. As a woman, quite often we struggle to claim our own sovereignty. We are afraid to be clear. We are afraid to be upfront. We are afraid to ask what we want. But working with Hiro has really helped me to do it in a really skillful way.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
So where can people find you online?
My URL is yourlifeexpression.com.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a free gift. It's a 7-day mini journey for your money story, which is Yiye Zhang, YIYE.leadpages.net/money. So if you feel called, feel free to claim this free gift for you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're so welcome. I really enjoyed it. And thanks so much for the questions.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for listening. And remember to visit sociallyholistic.com/SHP66 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Socially Holistic Podcast with your host, Holly Wharton. Please help us help more women in business by giving us a 5-star review of this podcast. The more women who find out about this podcast, the more successful businesses there will be. So please leave a 5-star review today over at iTunes. Thank you.